I've never been part of the gang. I was a one-man band, playing little tunes. John Hopfield, visionary scientist and pioneer in neural networks. You see, in a world obsessed with teams, cliques, collaborations, and collectives, there occasionally walks a soul who doesn't quite fit into the crowd. Not by arrogance, not by rebellion, but simply by design. John Hopfield was one such soul. He didn't chase popularity in scientific circles. He didn't flash credentials or climb the social ladders of academic prestige. He played his own quiet tune, subtle, distinct, maybe even odd to some, but deeply transformative to those who were listening. He said, I was a one-man band, playing little tunes. And yet those little tunes turned out to be symphonies. Those humble melodies he played alone reshaped the foundation of how we understand intelligence, memory, and the very structure of thought, not just in biology, not just in machines, but in the architecture of human possibility itself. Today, I want to talk to you about John Hopfield, not just the physicist, not just the father of the Hopfield network, but the reminder and the undeniable proof that you don't have to fit in to make an impact. You don't have to be a part of the gang to change the game. That sometimes being a one-man band is the very thing that lets you hear the deeper music no one else notices, because sometimes it's the ones playing solo who hear the future first. Hopfield began as a physicist, a solid-state physicist to be precise. For most, that would be enough. A prestigious career in a well-defined domain, safe, respected, linear. But Hopfield wasn't interested in linear paths. He was curious, genuinely restlessly curious. He dared to step sideways, into biology, into chemistry, into neuroscience, into realms where physicists weren't traditionally welcome. He saw the boundaries between disciplines not as walls, but as invitations. While others saw separate domains, he saw an integrated universe, and that's when he began to ask a strange but powerful question. What if the brain itself could be understood like a physical system, not just metaphorically, not as an analogy, but in literal, mathematical, and physical terms? What if memory, learning, perception, all these mysterious human qualities could be modeled through the same laws that govern atoms and energy? That's when the world began to hear his little tune. In 1982, Hopfield published a paper titled Neural Networks and Physical Systems with Emergent Collective Computational Abilities. Doesn't sound revolutionary, does it? But that paper, like a quiet symphony that grows in power, ended up changing everything. It introduced the Hopefield network, a model of artificial neural networks based on how neurons interact in the human brain. The beauty of the Hopefield network wasn't just in its function, it was in its elegance. He demonstrated that a network of simple units, just neurons connected in specific ways, could store memories, retrieve them through association, and settle into patterns the way a ball settles into the bottom of a valley. Suddenly, the brain wasn't a mystery box anymore. It became a system, a pattern, a form of computation. Hopfield showed that memory could be understood as energy minimization, like finding the lowest valley in a mountain range. That neurons firing together could be mapped to mathematical rules. That artificial intelligence didn't have to be a crude simulation. It could follow the laws of nature. That was the moment when artificial intelligence gained a soul. Because Hopfield gave it memory, he gave it association, he gave it a whisper of cognition. And he did it alone. No lab with 100 grad students, no flashy team, no billion-dollar funding, just a mind, a man, a melody, and that is the power of the one-man band. But here's what makes Hopfield's story even more profound. He wasn't trying to be a visionary. He wasn't obsessed with recognition. He was simply following questions, deep, difficult, uninvited questions that didn't fit neatly in any one department. And when his ideas first appeared, they weren't embraced with applause. The academic world can be territorial, suspicious of crossovers, and Hopfield, the physicist stepping into the mind, was met with doubt, resistance, even ridicule. But he kept going. He refined his theories, collaborated with the few who could hear what he was trying to say, people like David Tank and Terence Sejnowski. He kept playing his little tunes even when no one seemed to be listening. And then, slowly, steadily, the world began to catch up. His work inspired entire generations of scientists, not just in physics or biology, but in machine learning, computational neuroscience, AI, and even cognitive psychology. The idea that a system could learn and remember through energy dynamics became the foundation for associative memory networks, deep learning architectures, and brain like AI models. And today, every time you use a phone that understands your voice, a chatbot that remembers your tone, or a neural network that completes your sentence, you're using an echo of Hopfield's solo symphony. Not bad for a one man band. Now let's bring this back to you, because I know maybe you feel out of place sometimes. Maybe you feel like you're not part of the gang. Maybe your dreams sound strange, your ideas are too wild, your path too uncertain. You look around and see people following formulas, the safe tracks, the tested roads, and you wonder, is there space for someone like me? Someone who doesn't fit in the mold? Let me tell you, there is not only space, there is a need, a desperate, hungry need for people who can hear the music no one else hears, who are willing to ask forbidden questions, who are brave enough to step sideways, to cross boundaries, to reimagine. You don't have to wait for a team to validate you. You don't need a spotlight to start creating. You don't need permission to pursue something new. All you need is to keep playing your little tune. Because here's the truth: innovation never starts in the crowd, it starts in quiet minds, in strange corners, in solo walks, in notebooks full of crazy ideas. The world's most powerful transformations, whether in science, art, politics, or humanity, have always come from those who dared to stand apart. Not above, not below, just apart, just like Hopfield. Today, the world is again at the edge of something new. AI is booming, neuroscience is evolving, physics is merging with biology, consciousness itself is being redefined. And somewhere in this whirlwind, I believe, another one man band is waiting. Maybe it's you. Maybe you're sitting with an idea the world doesn't understand yet. Maybe your little tune is the next revolution in how we think, heal, build, or connect. Maybe your refusal to follow the crowd is not your weakness, but your superpower. So don't apologize for not fitting in. Don't rush to be part of the gang. Don't bury your strange idea just to sound normal. Be the one man band. Play your melody, even if it's quiet, even if it's solo, even if no one's listening yet, because the world might just be tuning its ear. And one day, they'll realize your melody was the symphony they were waiting for all along. I've never been part of the gang. I was a one man band playing little tunes. Yes, Dr. Hopfield. But those little tunes, they taught the machines to think. They gave memory to silicon. They opened the gates between physics and mind. They changed what it means to be intelligent, as a machine and as a human. Not bad for someone who wasn't part of the gang. Now it's your turn. Play your tune, and don't stop, even when it feels like no one's listening, because the future is always listening.